The Auburn Tigers tonight proved that they are the third best team in the SEC.
This is happening in Auburn, Alabama. We're a football school, but we're also an everything school.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Joining me as he does after every single Auburn basketball game is Daryl Dapprich, and I want to welcome you on into the Locked On Auburn's The Henry Service Company post-game show. Call them 334-288-2700 for all of your HVAC, plumbing, electrical needs. License number 00021. Daryl, as the Auburn Tigers defeat LSU on the road, 67-49, I believe what they did tonight proved that they are the third best team in the SEC as the conference currently stands.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I think that we don't need to overreact, and that's not an overreaction, what you just said. I think that's not based upon emotion and coming off a win on the road by, 18 points. Or I don't think that normally that would cause that kind of euphoric reaction. I think that going into this game and looking at this objectively and logistically, just saying logically, I felt like Auburn had the better roster than LSU. I've said that when we were talking about what Auburn was going to do down the stretch, and I thought that Auburn would get this win on the road. I think that Auburn's gotten lucky as far as the scheduling early on like this, that they got a couple of their early road games with some of the lesser teams. I felt like LSU was kind of a little bit fraudulent coming into the conference with their non-conference schedule, and that the chickens were going to come home to roost. And that's what's happened. So what Auburn did, in my opinion, is what Auburn should do. Now, it wasn't – they won on the road, but they won rather convincingly. So that's where you get the argument that they've moved up a notch, because it wasn't just they eked one out on the road. They didn't steal one on the road. They emphatically pounded somebody on the road.
They did. And I like the way that they did it, right? Because I think what they did is sustainable. Holding LSU to under 50 points in their house – we've kind of questioned, okay, this defense coming into the season, we thought that this defense could be elite. We saw that throughout the non-conference slate, and then we started giving up a little bit more points than we would like early in SEC play. And what we saw tonight was, and LSU's not a great team, and they're not a great offensive team. Let's be very clear on that. But, everybody wants to talk about how great Alabama is. Well, they gave up more points to Alabama. They scored more points against Alabama than they did here. And that's not always perfect. But I just think with what they were able to do and how they were able to win tonight, I don't know, man. I'm really, really impressed. And I'm going to be honest, Daryl, I'm going to boog a little bit tonight. I'm going to soak this one in because, once again, LSU is not a great team. And the conference as a whole is down. But don't let that distract you from the fact, and other fan bases are going to try to, Daryl. Other fan bases are going to still try to pick at Auburn and say, y'all are still learning how to, cheer for basketball or what. I hear it all the time. But it doesn't matter. Auburn right now is the third best team in the SEC with a chance to be a 2 seed if they just take care of business against Alabama and Tennessee. They get a chance to 2 times out on both. And I think with what they did tonight against LSU, we should be very, very happy. The fact that they did it on the road, there's so much to be hype about. I don't care how bad LSU is.
Well, anytime you go on the road in the SEC, you don't care how it looks. You just want to get out with that dub. And I think that the bonus for Auburn was there are 3 key factors that I think made this even more of an impressive win. Number 1, the fact that they won by such a large margin. Number 2, it was very, very balanced.
Sure.
Look, you're going to win a lot of games when you get 7 or 8 guys scoring 8 or more points. I love that balance. And then third, I think that Auburn shot the ball really well. I mean, they are shooting the basketball better than they have early in the year when they were just winning ugly and winning on defense and causing turnovers. And again, they shot the ball well away from Neville Arena. That's something I've been wanting to see other than, the Washington game where they shot it pretty good on the road, a true road game. Mm-hmm. So all those factors are why you should boog. I mean, it's why it is more impressive. If you go on the road and beat LSU 53-52 and play ugly and play, just sloppy basketball and just basically play well enough to win or basically play well enough to not lose, right? Not blow it. That's one thing. They were in control. And here's the thing too.
Yeah.
When LSU came out in the second half and cut it to 2 at home and got it going again, how Auburn responded is just as big as the W, because if it happens again later in the year, they have something to draw from.
That's right. I mean, we're texting with Clay, the owner of Henry Service Co. at halftime, and it's like, man, wouldn't it be nice to just kind of coast? Wouldn't it be nice to just have an easy win, especially on the road for a weeknight game? Like, wouldn't that be nice, Daryl?
Yeah.
And then LSU comes back and I'm like, of course. Why do we even talk about this? Like, why did we even think that?
As soon as you said it, and I took the trash out and came back in and it was cut to 4, I was calling you names that you don't even want to know.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But no, you're right. How they responded was huge because this wasn't close. I mean, the last 10 minutes of action, it wasn't close because of how Auburn responded. Jalen Williams, what an incredible night for him. He tied for the lead with a plus-minus of positive 14. He scored 14 points on 13 shots. He only made one of his 4 threes, but still it was enough. And 7 rebounds in 33 minutes. There's a lot to like about what Jalen Williams had to do. And my favorite play of the game involved Jalen Williams. I forgot who attacked the basket. They absolutely got fouled with attempting a layup. They didn't call it because they didn't call anything in the second half, which probably went Auburn's favor, but whatever. And I think it was Wendell. That missed. And then he got it, and then he was able to secure the and one.
Right. That was huge.
And I think LSU had some positive momentum, and I think that score put Auburn up 14. And it's like, okay, we should be good at that point. Yeah. We should be good at that point. And so that was great. I just wish Jaylin Williams was a little bit more selfish, Daryl. When it all comes down to it, I wish he was just a little bit more selfish.
He's learning to be.
Yeah, he shot it 13 times. You would have never seen that 2 months ago.
Success breeds selfishness sometimes in certain basketball players. You have to get a taste. You have to believe in yourself and say, it's great to be unselfish because you may say, well, I don't want to hurt my team. I may not be the best option. When you start realizing and figuring out that you get the confidence to be a little bit more selfish. And that also is I think, evident in the way Berman is playing coming off the bench and the shots he's taken. Look, if you would have told me tonight that Auburn would have went on the road and won 18 and Broome would have had 4, I would have had your head checked. Think about that. Broome, one of our best scorers, one of our key offensive guys, it was going to be jacked up for the matchup with Williams, with the Morehead State, Murray State connection last year, had 4 points. Berman has 8 off the bench in 17 minutes, which is a perfect stat line for him. And he did the little things. And guess who's out of the lineup that we're used to having do the little things? Chris Moore. So that's why he's, Berman's playing a little bit more selfish and shooting the ball a little bit more, not just coming in, looking to pass it to somebody, looking to get rid of it, hot potato. Mm-hmm. When Williams and Berman figured out I can contribute offensively, they'll start shooting the ball more. It's just up to their teammates to feed that and reward that. And that's the problem. Auburn has some guys that are just so used to scoring, like Katie Johnson and some of those guys. So they'll come down and Berman will be open on the wing and Katie will go 1-on-2 in the lane because he's used to scoring so much last year.
Yeah.
They'll settle in. They'll get adjusted to that. But now what we felt like was a deep Auburn team where we expected productive minutes from Chance Westry, we can get from Leo Berman.
Yeah, and he's not a liability on defense, which I think is the biggest surprise. I mean, you can tell the effort he's having to put in. He's having to try harder than everybody else on the floor, but who cares? Who cares? The production is there. I just put a poll for the live viewers here in the live chat. Where will Auburn finish in the SEC? First, 2-4, 4-6, or worse? I should have phrased those answers better, but it is what it is. We are booging this evening. Speaking of booging, John Michael saying, Zach, Daryl, When do we hang the banners, boys? Now, that's booging real hard, and I'm all for it. I'm all for the full send on the boog. But right now, am I crazy, Daryl, to think Auburn can edge out Tennessee?
No, I think they can. I'm going to tell you right now, if you'd have told me at the beginning of the year that Auburn can win 22 or 23 games and go 13-5 in the SEC, right? Finish second or third in the SEC and end up a 5 or a 4 seed in the SEC tournament after losing 2 generational talents, I would have taken that all day. And that's very, very much within Auburn's grasp. It is.
Let's go.
I'm not pie in the sky with that. I think Auburn plays Tennessee twice this year, don't they? Don't they play them? So
we play Tennessee twice. We play Alabama twice.
Yeah, if you can just split those 2 games. Tennessee lose another one. I think Auburn has a chance. But look, get into the SEC tournament, win a couple games. Let's roll. What happened last year? Auburn won the league and got knocked out in the first round. So right. I don't, anything. It can completely flip. The script can flip. I don't think that's unattainable right now. I think Auburn can finish in the top 2, and I think they can be a 4 seed, and I think they can go 13-5 in the SEC if they take care of business.
Oh my goodness gracious! Yeah, and you look at it, the half of the remaining opponents on Auburn's schedule are either quad 1 or quad 2 opponents. So, I mean, it gets tougher. Like let's don't doubt that, and let's keep that in perspective. That's why tonight was so big. 3 teams in the SEC went 2-0 last week. I mean, that's just the kind of year that we're dealing with in the SEC, Daryl. There's going to be a lot more parity, with the exception of the folks at the top. There's going to be a lot more parity throughout the conference. And so Auburn taking care of business, and that's why the Georgia loss really stinks, because Auburn's better than Georgia. They just are. And they'll get the chance to prove that when Georgia comes to Neville Arena later this year. But the way the landscape of the SEC this year, Daryl, to me, is, Auburn's got to take care of business against LSU tonight, which obviously they did. And then, you host a very bad, awful, putrid. You actually don't host. You go to South Carolina to play there. And it's like, you got to win that game.
Yeah, don't give anything back. Don't give anything you've gained the last 10 days, 12 days by slipping up on the road against South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Numbers don't
I'm
lie.
sorry, Dale, just real quick. Let me finish this. I think, with playing Alabama and Tennessee twice each, I think they split 1-1 with both of them. And if you do that, you're the 2 seed in the SEC. I think you're a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. And I think we all take that. I think we take every single bit of that.
Well, and again, I almost feel like Auburn has to apologize for where they are in the season. And look, I'm just going to spit pure facts at you. Numbers don't lie. The digits don't lie. Auburn is 15-3 and 5-1 in the conference. Tell me that's not, at this point, a really good basketball. Well, why aren't more? And they're 16th in the country. Take care of business against South Carolina Saturday, and you're 16-3, 6-1, and in the top 15 in the country. But yet it's crickets. There isn't much talk about it. There's nothing to apologize. Those numbers speak for themselves, and say this is a very good basketball team. It is what it is. The numbers don't lie.
That's right. That's right. Daryl, I want to read something that was put up at Auburn Daily that kind of gave me a little bit of chills. Do you mind?
I'm ready.
In just a moment. First off, LS who can you depend for your AC needs, Daryl?
Henry Service Company.
LS who do you call for plumbing services?
Henry Service Company.
LS who do you call for heating, electrical, back and forth? I mean, there's so many different things that a Henry Service Company does, and that's why we have partnered with them and their incredible service throughout the entirety of this Auburn basketball season, as we do all these post-game shows, because I mean, these guys do everything, much like this Auburn basketball team.
They're the
Swiss, what I'm saying?
They're the Swiss Army knife of the HVAC world.
I think so. So. HVAC, electrical, plumbing, whatever it may be. And look, they've got service in their name. It doesn't matter what time it is. It doesn't matter what day it is. they've got folks that can help you out. Give them a call, 334-288-2700, license number 00021. Thank you so much to Henry's Service Company. Jeremy Roebuck wrote this. He said, this is the greatest era in Auburn basketball history. Auburn tied the school record for consecutive AP poll appearances this week at 30 weeks in a row. Fans quickly forget that Auburn recently went 15 years without being ranked. It was a long and rough era for Auburn basketball, and the hole was so deep, and Bruce Pearl eventually dug them out. I just think when you look at games like tonight, it's just, I think during that 15-year span, they would have lost. They would have lost the game like tonight. And instead, they went 67-49. Doesn't matter how well they shot. They did shoot well. I mean, they shot okay. 44% from the floor, 33% from three. It's not like they shot lights out by any stretch of the imagination, but found a way to win, Daryl. They found a way to win by double digits. I mean, it's just exactly what you want to see.
Well, when you shoot it like that and out rebound your opponent +8, +9, and also play the kind of defense Auburn does, that's the thing. I mean, you can shoot 45% and 33% from three if you're playing the kind of defense and you're rebounding the basketball the way Auburn is. So we are in the glory years of Auburn basketball. People are living in it and almost don't even realize it, that have been, maybe around for the last 4 or 5 years. They're just used to it. And it's an unbelievable run. It's an unbelievable stretch.
Sure.
I know at one point there was a 3-year span where Auburn had the best 3-year span and most wins in the history of the state of basketball. That goes for Alabama or Auburn, right? That speaks volumes. And somebody posted a question earlier that I really don't know the answer to, but it's got me kind of intrigued. And I think it's a good, and Zach, you'll probably know it, but off the top of my head, I do not, but I think it's a good talking point. When is the last time Auburn won in Baton Rouge in basketball?
Oh, goodness. I'm not sure.
Because even the years that I know that the COVID year with Will Wade, LSU won that game. Last year, Auburn only played LSU in Auburn, right? And so the year before that, the Final Four team, I think, split with LSU. I think they lost on the road. I think it's been a while, if my memory serves me correct, and I could be totally wrong. That's why I don't know the answer to the question. I'm throwing it out there. If any of our listeners, viewers,
Spencer and Charlotte Lee are saying 2017.
Spencer,
2017-18 season.
I mean, that's almost 6 years. I mean, that's right. That's pretty. I mean, think about it. So yeah, and that LSU team obviously didn't have Will Wade as their coach. I know that at that point. I mean, because he wasn't cheating yet. Right. So, but that's. I mean,
wasn't cheating successfully yet.
Correct, but he wasn't even there. He was cheating somewhere else.
He's always cheating.
But I think too. LSU's got a team that 3 of the starting 5 are mid-major transfers, and the other 2 are, Division I transfers. And he had to go McMahon had to go build that roster, and he did. So I get that. I get that LSU's struggling, and I get that their roster man and all that. Bottom line, though, they did beat Arkansas. They did come into the SEC league play on a high, but I thought that was all. Like I said, I thought that was a little bit puffed up. But I think this is a better basketball team than Ole Miss. I mean, you talked about it before we press play, that I thought this was a better win than the Ole Miss game. Number one, it was by a larger margin, and I think LSU's a better basketball team than Ole Miss. I think if they played on a neutral floor, LSU wins the game. That's how I would use that as a barometer. So
hey, all right, and we'll open up to questions and comments. Start flooding the live chat if you guys want to chime in or ask us something. But real quick, I want to touch on Alan Flanagan. Like, his numbers don't pop off, right? 8 points on 3 of 6 shooting. But I really liked this game. Darryl only played 23 minutes, dealt with a lot of foul trouble. He actually fouled out, but 7 rebounds. He scored 8 points on 6 shots. He was 2 of 3 from behind the arc. Like, I know we've talked up Allen, and he's kind of been on a run of scoring double digits. I almost like what he did tonight, minus the foul stuff, more than the others. I mean, he was pretty efficient.
Didn't turn it over. Turn it over. And here's the thing. Don't underestimate, he hit the biggest shot in the game. He did.
Remind me.
Auburn, they had cut the lead.
Oh, he hit the corner 3.
Yes, they had cut the lead to 2, and he hit the corner 3 that got Auburn going again. The bench got up and waved the towels. He stopped the bleeding, And not only did he stop the bleeding by scoring, he hit a 3. And so sometimes it's not that you score, it's when you score. And that was a big basket. It was a tide turner. And then he didn't turn it over. He played in control.
Yep.
So it was a nice solid game. I guess we have to determine what Flan we want. Do we want the 16 points but 6 turnovers, Flanagan? Or do we want the 8 points, 1 turnover? I don't know. We'll see what's best for Auburn basketball down the stretch.
6 shots. That's what I want.
With 1 turnover.
Shots with no turn. Yeah.
And if you get 8 from Berman,
1 turnover.
Yeah,
1 turnover tonight. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you get 8 from Berman off the bench, he doesn't need to score 16 because there's your other 8 right there.
I'm there with you. All right. Several people mentioning Zep. I'll highlight Blue Chris here. Need more ISO Zep. Yeah, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with as much Zep as possible. 2 of 4. Once again, shot it 4 times, scored 5. I'll take that. Made the first 3 of the game. Set the tone early. My guy Zep. Recording with him tomorrow. Be sure to check out his show or him on the show on Friday. Played 18 minutes. The plus minus was 4. He's actually one of the lower plus minuses on the team, which is a little uncharacteristic. But yeah, he takes care of the basketball. Usually Auburn's better when he's on the floor. Yeah, I'm all about Zep shooting more.
Yeah, I think that he's just every time he hits a shot, it seems like a big shot. It seems like a smart shot. It seems like it's a shot you want to go up at that particular time and that Auburn needs. You never go, oh, God, that was a bad shot. Why'd he shoot that? You're like nodding your head after it goes in.
Yeah, like, okay.
And he's very smart. He's got a very high basketball IQ.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a leader, but I think he's a quiet leader. And I'm telling you, he plays the best on-the-ball defense for a guard, one of the better defenders in the SEC. If they had a Defensive Player of the Year award, I think that Zep's your dude as far as guard play. The way he hawks the basketball, it's
awesome.
He's tough. He's a very tough defender.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, and if you say Zep backwards, it actually is basketball IQ. Don't think about that too much. All right. There's actually an argument happening in live chat. This is fascinating. I love the internet. There's an argument between Bruce Pearl and Pat Dye. That's hilarious. Daryl, I'm going to let you address this question because you addressed it a little bit last week or the last game. Cam asked, why is it that Broom gets held so much and receives no call? You want to stab that one?
Yeah, and I don't want this to sound like I'm thinking that it's a conspiracy or officials are getting together before the game and the officials.
We're booking tonight. You can do whatever you want.
I think that Janai Broom and the way he plays and how he's constantly talking to officials, every play he's in an official's ear after he gets called for a foul. That and his antics with his body language after he scores and that kind of stuff, I think it does him no favors. And subconsciously, officials don't give him a fair shake because of his style of play and constantly talking. I think that officials are human, and I don't think they go in there premeditated, but I think during a game, it affects the way they call the game. Do I think that's right? No. Do I agree with it? No. But I just think that's my opinion as to why he can get punched in the face and no one gets a call. He doesn't get called, but he does a blow by.
Yeah.
And he gets called. And I think it's a reputation thing, throughout the league that maybe they just, that's kind of what happens. I mean, I think that you start to build a reputation. So maybe as the year goes on, if he settles down a little bit, that goes away. But that's my theory as to why.
I kind of don't want him to settle down, though. I kind of want him to be who he is. I mean, strategically, maybe better, but you got some pushback on this last week. And I agree with you. But I just want to be clear, like, when you officiate, like, it's not perfect. Like, it's human nature. Like, you're always constantly selling something. It doesn't matter what you do. And the
pushback was that shouldn't happen. They should call the game. I agree. I agree.
That's not how it works.
But that's not how it works. I agree. They should just shut up and call the game and not have their butt on their shoulders and be all in their feelings and call a foul on Broom because he says something. That's not. They shouldn't be doing that. But that's not how it works.
That's right. Jeremy asked, and check out Jeremy's article at auburndaily.com. When is Chris Moore back? I actually thought we might start hearing more about him coming back for tonight's game. I can't imagine he's going to be gone that long.
Why do you? But again, like I said Saturday, the longer this winning streak goes And the more contributions you're getting from people like Berman, the less you have to rush him back into the lineup. Maybe you hold him out a week longer than you normally would if you were desperate and needed. I mean, you're winning. It's not that he's not a winning basketball player and he helps you win. He does. But the longer you can let him heal, the better off you are for him during crunch time having him.
Lior Berman, 8 points on 4 shots. He may have been the most efficient player tonight. I'm looking for another one that would be in contention.
He didn't seem to be a liability on the defensive end either. He got through. He really fought through his screens, got to his spots to defend. The back cut was gorgeous on the inbounds play that Bruce drew up. I mean, here's Berman, little guard underneath the basket, laying it up on a back cut that was perfectly executed. He got a couple rebounds. He fought through screens. He was not a liability on any aspect of the floor.
Yep. All right. Allen says more minutes for Cardwell. Yeah. Dylan played 17 minutes.
I heard on the broadcast from Jimmy Dykes that he was standing in the tunnel, stretching some things out, looking like he was in some kind of discomfort is why he disappeared from the bench and went a long stretch without playing. So whatever it was, maybe they got it addressed, they got it stretched, they got it iced, whatever it is, and then he got back in there.
Patrick, my buddy, former coworker of mine. How you doing, dude? Says, how do we keep momentum going into Columbia? I still have bad memories from the Macklemore injury and getting blown out in 2018. Yeah, it's been a weird series, Auburn and South Carolina. But South Carolina is so bad this year. And that's what makes their upset over Kentucky like even more kind of like, what? What's going on? I think you keep momentum by playing good defense because I think this defense will travel. I think it showed that tonight and just capitalize on good situations, which is exactly what Auburn did tonight. Look, if you can beat LSU and Baton Rouge, you can beat the Gamecocks this year in Columbia. Like I think it's that clear.
The defense aspect of that about defense will travel. If you're a team that relies on winning basketball games by shooting 50% from 3-point line and scoring 90 points, you can get upset if you get cold shooting. But if you create baskets off of turnovers, transition, get ugly in the muck kind of baskets, if you're struggling shooting but still find a way to win like Auburn does. I mean, look, the Northwestern game, we wanted to all throw up after that game. That's not a bad win now. You look at it where we are right now at this point in the season. It may be a quad one.
Right now, it's a quad one. Yeah.
So I mean, it was ugly. But that's what happens. When you don't have to rely on shooting 50%, you can win games like that.
Lucio says,
I want to say that I hope that he pronounced that Luceo. That's what I want. I want Luceo. That would make my night if he pronounced it that way. It really would.
Let us know, Luceo or Lucio. UConn lost again. Auburn should be moving up a spot in the polls. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I just don't really care about that. I care more about that in football than I do basketball, just because so much of it's seeding.
But it doesn't, and that's man. You make a great point. I always thought.
Wait, thank you, Daryl.
No, you do. I mean, listen, you make a lot of great points, but what it did is it kind of got me sparked on something that you brought up. So I'm glad you said that.
Okay.
I always thought growing up following college basketball that you could do this little numeric trick where, like, if you were number 16 in the country, you were going to get a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament, right? You see what I'm saying?
Right,
if you're 12, it doesn't work that way. It just does not work that way.
No.
You could be ranked 15th and get a 6th seed or a 5th seed for some reason, or you could be ranked, I've seen teams that are ranked 6th or 5th and get a 1 seed. I mean, it's just weird how that whole thing works. It's not, they don't equate where you are in the AP poll at the end of the year with your NCAA tournament seeding. I always was naive to think it was. So you make a good point, Zach, that just because you may end up maybe 12th in the country at the end of the year doesn't mean you'll get that 4 seed. Auburn had that happen to them before, and they got the 5 seed.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. Eric asked, how long is Westry out? It's my understanding, Eric, that Westry's not hurt. Like, he's not out. He's just not in the rotation. Have you heard anything to contradict that, Daryl?
I have not, and I think that there's something that reeks of preservation of that for me, like Bruce protecting him, fragility, making sure that he doesn't lose him, that he's not despondent and just, that he's trying, in my opinion, to salvage the kid's confidence because of that stretch of basketball.
Yep. Blue Chris BP encourages players to talk to refs after calls. I don't know. Maybe that sounds, maybe. Colonel Steve, the gloat, the greatest listener of all time, says, love that Jaylin and Flan are getting better. No question about it. Especially, the Jaylin part of it, Daryl, we talked about this at the beginning of it. It's just like, I wish he would just shoot more. And he shot 15 shots tonight, right? Like that's the right amount.
Yeah, it is. It is. And they're, again, big shots. I like where he is offensively, and I like where he's showing up. Our friend Clay was like, I want Jaylin to take this game over. And then I think he had like 7 in a row after that. There was a crucial point in the game, and he got the separation that Auburn needed.
All right, scale of 1 to 10, how hot of a take is this? Trent says, put a statue up for Lior Berman. Dude's going to be legit.
We're getting a little out of control, a little out of hand.
I'm all for the boog, Trent.
Yeah, I think that what we need to realize and what we want from Berman, and we saw flashes of it from last year, is the expectations need to be realistic. He needs to come in, give us 14 to 17 minutes, hit a couple big threes, maybe get us 8 points, and that's exactly what we need from Berman.
Greg coming over from the War Report stream. All of you coming over from the War Report stream, thank you so much for being here. Love Mike
Welcome.
G,
yes.
B. Will, and the guys. I was watching their stream during the game tonight. They do an outstanding job. Glad to be good buddies with them. Clay pointing out that Dylan was really good tonight. There is no question about it. Colonel Steve, the gloat, the greatest listener of all time, says, can any of our seniors claim a COVID year and come back? We did this a few weeks ago, Daryl. So Zep's on his COVID year. Allen has not used his COVID year. Who else? Jay Will has not used his COVID year. He could come back.
Dylan Cardwell.
He has not used his COVID year
yet. He was a freshman when COVID hit. I wish JT Thor would have used his COVID year.
Yeah, or just like a sophomore year.
I keep saying that. I know. I know that I'm like hot pie in the sky, but I don't know what it is. I just keep saying, man, he could have been like a missing piece, right?
My gosh.
Could you imagine that front court last year with Walker,
no I can't.
Jabari, and him? It would have been nasty. But it is.
Yeah, like who plays the 3 in that situation? I guess Jabari.
Jabari can play the 3. The way he shot it and how pure he was, slide him to the 3. Oh, it'd have been nasty. You know about rim protectors and Dunkarama? It would have been like 5 slamma jamma.
Oh my gosh, it would have been
You're too young for that. You're too young.
No, but it sounds cool. I understand what it is. My mom checking in. It's like a reunion on here tonight.
What
We're
up,
booging, Mom? We are booging. Let's go. Chase saying we need Jasper to shoot more. We probably be a little bit better at shooting. Oh, if Zep shot better, we'd be better at shooting. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I love that he took the first shot of the game. I love that.
That's been a common theme.
That's not who he is.
No, it's not who he is. It's not his style. And it's been a common theme where we've said, man, I'd like to see Zep shoot maybe 2 or 3 more a game because he looks so pure when he's shooting it. But that maybe is going outside of his comfort zone and his realm and what he does and what he brings to the table.
Clay saying, how about Donaldson playing well? Nothing special, but very serviceable. We haven't mentioned his name yet. Let's see.
Got a nice steal. It went to the basket hard and got fouled and shot some free throws in another key moment of the game.
Did he?
Unless it wasn't, they didn't call it a shooting foul. I thought it was.
No, he has 0 points, 0 of 1 shooting. His only shot was a 3, and this says he didn't shoot a free throw.
Yeah, that was not a foul. That was on the floor then. Yeah,
I remember him going to the hoop though. Yeah. Has he scored in his last few games? Like
no, not since he hit that big 3 that bounced
there's just been nothing from the freshman class. It's crazy.
I know. And then Trehor was feeling his oats. Yeah, he shot a 3 and missed it. He just put it up.
Yeah, then that was the only shot he missed. Went 1 of 2 for 2 in his 7 minutes. And I wanted to be poetic there. Right. Yohan Trehor, former LSU commit, and he has his coming out party in Baton Rouge. Wouldn't that have been
nice?
Great?
That would have been nice. I was thinking that same thing. Yeah.
A man can dream. Next year, right? Next year, maybe.
Yeah, because he's definitely not at least look at the positives. None of these freshmen are one and dones. That's for freaking sure.
Sam asked Tammy, talking about my mother, is that picture with old Ricky Fowler, legend status. It is. I actually took that picture. It is with Ricky Fowler. Shout out Ricky Fowler on this Wednesday evening. Cool. We'll go live for a few more minutes, guys. If anybody else has any more questions or comments, we want to get them in. Jesse checking in. Good to see you, Jesse. Normally more active, Jesse, but thanks for stopping in. Appreciate that. Man, people are really high on Zep shooting tonight. Like, I'm all about it. I love Zep. I just don't know if Zep shot it 4 times tonight. How many times do you think Zep should shoot it in a game? Do you think, Daryl?
6.
I want to
see him.
Right.
And I want to see him go to the rim more. Last year he went to the rim more.
Like layups and threes.
I want to see him drive to the rim. He did that last year, and it may be because he was playing the 1. A whole different mindset. But he went to the rim more last year. I can remember him making big shots and laying on his back and doing the flex thing. Remember, underneath the goal, getting fouled.
He has so much swag.
So I think that I'd like to see him go to the rack. Maybe it's just because he's at the 2. He doesn't go to the basket as much, but I'd like to see him go attack the rim like he did last year.
What do you think about Katie Johnson's performance? We haven't mentioned him at all tonight. 2 of 7 from the floor, 8 points, 2 of 4 from 3, made both of his free throw attempts, played 22 minutes. Your thoughts? The
threes were big. I think it was an uneven performance. I think the threes were big, and it was good to see him hit that with his confidence. But then again, he's still forcing too many shots, forcing it into the rim, forcing it to the basket, out of control a little bit. That needs to slow down a little bit too.
Yep. Spencer says, shouldn't the cactus be in Dapp's background, Tucson native? Your thoughts?
Well, I'm down here now, so I'm in the South. So, I just let those things you leave them behind and you move on. So,
see, the way I see it, Daryl, is I have cacti, and you're a fun guy.
There you go. What would be a plant or something that would be Southern that would just scream Alabama that I should have over my shoulder? Because cactus does scream Tucson and Arizona. What would I have in here that would be, representative of Alabama?
What an interesting question. We'll see if anybody answers that. All right. So earlier in the show, we asked, where will Auburn finish in the SEC? 20% said first, 72% said 2 to 4, which makes sense. And then 7% said 5 to 6, 1% said worse. So there you go.
Isn't it amazing if we went ahead and took a poll like to kudzu? No, because I hate the Cubs, and it would remind me of Wrigley Field.
Nice.
But that's actually ivy. But kudzu looks like ivy sometimes.
Kudzu and ivy is the same thing.
So 2 weeks ago, we threw the question out: would you take 9-9 right now in the league? Remember? And everyone was like, yes, I want it. It's just amazing how a 4-game win streak and being 5-1 in the league. If you told me 9-9 now, I would be severely depressed.
Yeah, 5-1 in the conference already. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
All right, so South Carolina's coming up. Let's take a look at what's coming up. South Carolina's coming up, and then next Wednesday, a week from now, 8:00 tip. Gross. You host Texas A&M.
It's gonna be a big game.
Yeah, and how's Texas A&M doing tonight?
They were only up 4 against a Florida team that was horrific in the first half. Couldn't score it. I'm gonna check that for you there.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull it up too. Let's see who gets to it first. Yeah, I think Texas A&M's good. They won
54-52. Yeah, so
they won.
And that's at home. That's in Texas. That's at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
So you could
I think getting it home is going to help for sure. Then you go to West Virginia in Morgantown.
They were beating TCU tonight, who was ranked 14th in the country.
Oh,
and they did beat TCU 74-65. West Virginia had not won a Big 12 game until that one. They were winless in their Big 12 schedule until they beat TCU, and they get their first win against 14th ranked TCU.
Gulf Coast Breaker says the LFL says you need a pine tree.
The pine tree would be a good choice. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. And then you return home, you get a revenge game against Georgia. I love that. 6:00 tip on a Wednesday. And then you go to Knoxville. And then you go to College Station. And then you host Alabama and you host Missouri. I mean, that stretch right there, man.
Is brutal. That's why you got to go ahead and
You got to beat South Carolina.
Collect your chips right now. Start storing those nuts in the storehouse right now, and get the ones in the bank. Bank them. Bank. So when you go down, if you play 500 basketball on the backside of that schedule that is absolutely brutal, you end up being 12-5. I mean, you do. Or 12-6. Sorry, 12-6 or 13-5, somewhere in there. If you just play,
gets you what seed you think? 12-6 gets you a 3 or 4 seed.
A 3 in the SEC tournament and probably a 6 in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I mean, wouldn't you take that when the SEC season started and like I said, you lost 2 generational talents?
Yep. All right. So Jesse said, a few nights ago, we were talking about the next 5 games. I think
you had us losing to LSU, by the way. Say it. You did.
I did.
I said 4-1 losing at West Virginia.
When did that start? Do you remember? Was it after?
It was after the Ole Miss game. Ole Miss.
It was after Ole Miss. Okay, so Mississippi State, LSU, South Carolina, Texas A&M, and West Virginia, because it went to West Virginia. You're right.
Correct.
And so obviously we're 2-0 right now. I feel good about 3-0. Texas A&M is going to be fascinating. West Virginia is going to be fascinating.
Yeah, I think I said 4-1 and a loss at West Virginia, even though West Virginia, even at that time, hadn't won a Big 12 game, because that's such a tough place to play. It really is.
Blue Chris says I need Western in the rotation by then. Talking about the tougher stretch, I just don't think we're going to see it, guys. No. I hope we do, because I think that means he's shown enough and Auburn gets better. But I'm not expecting to see him this year. Are you? Well, am I off on that?
No, and there's got to be something that Bruce Pearl sees that's a nuance that we don't. Other than, obviously he was playing bad basketball. There was a stretch, but Bruce Pearl's had guys that have played bad basketball over 3, 4, 5 game stretches that he hasn't just completely took out of his rotation. So I think it's a preservation thing. I don't think he wants to lose the kid mentally.
Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Or did you lose me? We good?
No, I'm still here. I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's probably my connection.
Yep.
Zach should send you a t-shirt. What are you talking about? Let me know. Let me know.
Maybe send me a t-shirt. So when I come on these shows, I have some of that cool gear that you have.
The irony is Daryl sends me all the shirts. Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up here. Man, it's been 42 minutes. That's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. Daryl, how can people support you, love on you, and all of that stuff, buddy?
Follow me on Twitter, Dapp6410. You see it there. Dap it up. And on Monday mornings,
Dap it up.
Auburn Opelika this morning with our man Ben Taylor on WANI about 7:10. I did it today. It was Double D Wednesday because of MLK Day Monday. We switched up a little bit, so I did it this morning. But normally it's Monday mornings. We talk all sports for about 20 minutes.
He's about to switch that Wednesday slot when it's not Double D Wednesday to a little extra War Report Wednesday action. So
I hear you. So we got a little Double D Monday. You're on a couple times, right? With
I'm
him
on Fridays for the sports segment. I'm on Fridays. I think he has Bill Cameron on Tuesdays. I'm not positive, but Daryl, thank you so much as always.
You're welcome.
Look, hey, thank you so much to our friends at the Henry Service Company. Look, if you're in the Montgomery Tri-County area up there and you have any problems with your HVAC or your plumbing or electrical, whatever it may be, call them. 334-288-2700. That's Alabama license number 00021. This has been Locked on Auburn's The Henry Service Company post-game show. We will see you after Auburn hopefully defeats South Carolina. This has been Locked on Auburn.